Hey everyone, Joe here, and it's the end of 2019. So I wanted to go through and just sort of review the year before we head into 2020 and go over what Plantastic Fanet Media has done and a little bit of what I've been doing too and sort of my plans going forward. I wanted to reflect on last New Year's and the blog posts that I did around that time, sort of going through what my goals were and seeing, did I meet those goals and that sort of thing. So yeah, let's get started. First things first, I wanted to review my State of the Fanet from last year. So let's go there. In case you hadn't been on the Plantastic Fanet website in a bit, we have a nice new logo. It's the same as our old one, but it's colored. That's a cool new thing, and I made the background and all that stuff. Going to the blog here, one thing that we started doing over the last couple months is music reviews. We sort of stopped just because production on Alex's album, which if you haven't checked that out, go to the link in the doobly-doo. It'll be down there. The production on his album was just taking up too much time, and the music reviews, while fun, and I enjoyed doing them, they just weren't important enough and enough of a traffic draw to justify continuing those. So if you really enjoyed reading those, please let us know, because I really do enjoy writing them. I like letting people know about what I'm listening to and sort of my perspective on those things. So if you're into that, please reach out, because if enough people are into it, then I can justify working on those things. But the important thing was going back to our State of the Fanet from last year. So I have read through this a little bit. It was nice going back and reading what I had written about my releases in 2018. We were pretty deep in the podcast at the end of last year's. Like for Like was the podcast that we were doing. I absolutely loved doing that podcast. I would love to start it again. My day job right now has a terrible schedule for trying to work with other people who have normal office hours. Unfortunately, it's just impossible for me right now to actually book those sort of things. Oh God, I just realized I have all these little bookmarks up here so you can see where I go to all the time. I guess that's just, well, we're going to live with that. That's in the video now. I could blur it out if I wanted to. What was I talking about? If you want to see the podcast come back, please let us know. If there are enough of you, then I can justify, spending time on doing that. Another thing I finished this year that I mentioned in this blog post is the isometric mega dungeon, which was just called #mega dungeon at the time. Link in the doobly-doo to grab that. Is just a collection of maps that I did. They're 10 isometric maps, and then there's a couple different edits that I did to those that I included, and I believe some original scans in there as well. I haven't looked at it in a little while, so I don't recall exactly what I put in that zip file, but you can download it on plantasticfanet.com. If you're watching this before 2019 has ended, it's still free, so go grab that. So we've gotten to the meat of what I wanted to go over. My goals for this year, as of last year. The first thing I mentioned here is Like for Like going bi-weekly. Shortly after that, we ended the podcast. Like I said earlier, if you want the podcast to come back, please let me know. If it were to come back right now, it would likely be just me interviewing people. We haven't really talked much about it, but we've been considering doing another podcast that would replace the State of the Fanet blog. I'm basically wanting to take all that written media and move it to videos or audio, just something that's easier for people to consume, that doesn't have to take up all of their attention. Because these days, who has time to read? Nobody wants to use their eyes to read anymore. The next thing I hit on was the self-produced EP. It was a goal of mine to produce my own EP over the last year, and I did that. It's called Loves. You can check that out at the link in the doobly-doo. I'm so proud of that EP. It was the first thing of that size that I had put out. It was also a pretty stressful release because it got into some really deep personal shit. Yeah, I'm really proud that I was able to put that out there and able to do the work on it that I did. And I really hope you will go listen to it if you're listening to me talk about it right now. I was also talking at that time about putting out Boradiel's Book of Belongings, which was just sort of a passion project of mine. I wanted a way to make randomly generated magic items for D&D. It's still on DM's Guild if you want to download that. I'm working on a revised version that uses the SRD content version, which is free for everybody, Creative Commons, whatever. I don't think it's the actual Creative Commons license, but you know what I'm talking about. So if you're into D&D, go check out DM's Guild. There'll probably be a link to that down there as well. I really like Bitly, so there'll just be a ton of Bitly links down there. I hope you click all of them. So let's get to the stuff that I didn't know I was going to work on this year. Music. All of these things we did this year. I'm very proud of us. So first off, We Will Never Be Beautiful is an album that Alex did. He had been wanting to do some just like noise music for a while. If you're into noise music, if you're into conceptual, cerebral stuff, go check it out. It's very good. You can check it out at plantasticfanet.com/music, which is where you can find all of these things. The next release we put out was by me. It was Lady of the Goldenwood. This was the first Mapper track that I had released. Acoustic only version. I like putting parentheticals in my titles. It was a really beautiful song about a beautiful person who made me feel some type of way. And yeah, I'm glad that it exists. That makes me happy. Off was the next release. That was from my sort of experimental outlet, YSF. Just some weird time warped ambient shit, and I had a lot of fun with it, and I learned a lot about audio production. And that leads us to Loves, a sort of traditional rock album. I would call Loves like indie rock. It's emo, it's indie, it's alt, whatever. I'm proud of the album. It's really good. Honestly, if I do say so myself. The next thing we put out was Take. This is a single version of a Mapper track that I want to put on the next Mapper album, which may come in 2020. I don't know. I'm kind of in a weird place musically right now. I don't know where I want to go with the whole Mapper thing. So this may or may not be on the next Mapper album, and that album may or may not be in 2020. But Take was just a short little song, a little introspective thing that has a cool jam at the end. It's got sort of a beat switch. And yeah, it's fun. Link in the doobly-doo to go listen to that. Go listen. They're closer than you think. It's our most recent release. It came out just this month in December. And oh my God, I'm so happy with this album. It's so good. I'm so proud of this boy. And I'm really happy to have worked on it. I can just gush about this album for a really long time, so I'm not going to. I'm just going to say, please go listen to it. Link in the doobly-doo. It's an important album, and there will be more like this to come, and I'm fucking excited about it. So that pretty much sums it up for 2019. So I wanted to finish this video up with my expectations for next year, or rather what you should expect from Plantastic Fanet Media in 2020. Going forward, anything that you had previously seen on the blog on Plantastic Fanet Media is probably going to be a video now. At least that's the idea right now. That very well may change. And that's another thing for 2020. Don't expect things to stay the same. I think the biggest thing I learned in 2019 was that I can't keep forcing myself to do things that the past version of myself wanted to do. I've learned over the last couple months to live a little more in the moment, and I think you're going to see some of that in 2020. Unfortunately, that unpredictability can be difficult when you're trying to build an audience online. Just being upfront with you, gaining followers is like the most important thing. If we don't have followers, then we don't have people to see our stuff. Every website, with the exception of YouTube a little bit to some extent, wants you to buy eyes. Instagram wants you to pay for ads. I don't use Facebook, so I don't care, but they want you to pay for ads. Twitter has a pretty great algorithm actually for discovering new content, but the barrage of new content makes it such that anything that is meaningful is pretty much tossed to the wayside. So getting the word out there about a project or something like that is really hard on a platform like Twitter. Obviously, there's Reddit, but that's highly dependent on what industry you're in. that sort of thing. So yeah, I mean, 2020 is going to be a lot of trying things and failing a lot until we figure out something that works for both us and for the people who want to follow us. Ideally, that's you. So if you do like what we're doing here, if you've seen these videos, if you like me or you like Alex, then please follow us. We want to make more stuff for you. We want to interact with you, and we all want to just enjoy being here in the universe together in 2020. So be here with us. Give us a follow. It helps out a lot. And even more importantly, share us with your friends. If you liked Alex's album, if you liked my album, go and just take that link and tweet it. Put our stuff out there if you like it, because it really does help. I only have a few concrete goals for 2020. The first of which is YSF. I want to put out the first YSF album that's more of music that people would casually listen to. So I've had the idea for a little while of making a beat tape. I've made beats as background music for podcasts before and for videos. So it's not something that's unfamiliar to me, but I really wanted to make some polished stuff and see what I could do in the realm of trip hop and electronica and that sort of thing. So look forward to a new YSF album in 2020. And on that note, because I've been getting into more beat-driven stuff, YSF is in need of a bit of a rebrand. That also comes with a recent change in thinking of what YSF is. YSF was a name for just my stuff that I didn't know what to do with. It was just the ambient experimental stuff. I decided it made sense to take YSF and turn it into more of a producer label sort of thing. So YSF is now Yes If. So that's pretty much the only concrete thing for 2020 is that new Yes If album. There's a lot of songs that I want to do, a lot of Mapper stuff I have written, and maybe there'll be a Mapper album out too. I don't know if I'll do that or not. Alex is working on some new stuff. Hopefully we'll have that in 2020. If not, that's cool. I'm learning to just sort of roll with things. Anyways, I hope this hasn't been terribly boring or uninformative or too ambly. I just wanted to update you all and also tell you thank you for an awesome 2019. We've had such a productive year and so much good feedback, and I love it. And you guys are great. And in 2020, I hope we have even more of that. I hope there are even more of you, and I hope you talk with us more. And I hope to make even more stuff for you. So, yeah, I guess that's about it. Happy 2020. Bye. I love you all. Oh, look at that frame rate. Whoa.